So to combine these three fields into one table cell, we want to go back to Edit Columns. And the first thing I'm going to do is delete two of those three. And it doesn't really matter which two, but since I want them in order, I'll leave salutation, and I'll delete first name, and I'll delete last name. Now I want to rename the salutation field because I don't want salutation to be the only thing at the top here. I want to have a different title. So let's call this agent, because our agent names will display below this. By the way, while we're here, we can fix some of the other titles. When you change this text here, header text, you're changing the text that will display along here. So let's just go ahead and do this while we're at it. And of course, you can change this text to whatever makes sense on your site. Since this is just text displayed on the page, it doesn't matter whether you use uppercase or lowercase or spaces. Now let's go back to agent. So we deleted the other two options. We changed the name to agent. In order to combine three elements into one cell, we need to convert this field into a template. So with the field selected, click on the link. Now the blank space you see here is really just indicating that this is no longer a field, and none of the customization options are available here anymore. So we'll click OK. And now you see that all of those changes were made automatically, and that I have just one column for the agent. Now I want to click and select that entire column, and I want to choose Edit Template. Now that I'm in the Edit Template dialog, you can see that I only have one label here, and I really need three. Remember, we left the salutation, but we deleted both the first name and the last name. So we're going to want to bring two new labels into place here and associate them with first name and last name. So let me place my cursor in the template, and I want to find a label. So I'm in the toolbox under ASP.NET Controls. I just want to click to select label and drag it into the template. And now I want to edit data bindings, text, bound to first name. We don't have to worry about format. By the way, this two-way data binding is something we'll see later in the lesson, but at this point we're just bringing in the first name. So click OK. Now we need another label. So put your cursor here, bring in another label, and this time we want to bind this one, text, to last name. And now one last thing, since these labels are going to be replaced with the salutation, the first name, and the last name, we want to make sure there are spaces between each of these elements. So you can just place your cursor there. If you have trouble getting your cursor where you want it, just select a label. We use the Escape key to close the menu and the arrow key to deselect the label, and you can add a space. I'll do the same thing over here. Just arrow to deselect label, space. And finally, we can just click again on that arrow, and what we want to do is end template editing. And if you click on the arrow and you get the master's content option, it means that you've selected the content div and not the actual template. Very easy to do this because those arrows literally overlap here. So let's click again and make sure we've actually selected the template. Now you can just barely see there are two arrows here, and the one on top gives me the end template editing option. So be very careful as you select those arrows, and if you get the wrong one, just click again in the template and you should get the end template editing. So now you can see in the agent column, I have all three of the fields for my agent combined. Let's save this and preview. And now you see all three are in one column. Now they're not quite lined up the way I want because I've got so many other things in the way here. It's forcing that column to be smaller than I want. So you see all three of those fields now display in this one column. They're still wrapping because I've got too many other things forcing them over for that column to be as wide as I want it to be. But as we refine the design of this, you'll see they all come up on one line. So there's one other thing I'd like to do here. One of the main reasons that I combined all of this into one page was so that I could associate an agent with a property, and I want to make it as easy as possible for my visitors to find that agent once they found a property they like. So I'd like to create a link from here to each of my individual agent pages so that Mr. Deep Green goes to the Deep Green page, Mr. Gold goes to the Gold page. But now that I've combined these three fields into one column, setting that link is going to be a little tricky in the agent field. So I'm going to use this opportunity to show you how you can create a new column and link text from there at the same time. Remember, if you're working with a database programmer, you may want to ask your programmer to create special views for your database that combine fields like this for you. But I wanted you to see how you can combine them yourself if you need to.